right now we can see the backdrop of Gaza from behind us.
This is the Gaza Strip. We are less than a mile from Gaza. They invested the money in building underground tunnels, and the Western society donated the money.
When you were mayor of Gaza, how did you feel with the people? Was there like a deep hatred between the Israelis?
No.
There are few places in the world that have been in constant conflict as much as Israel, and today I'll be investigating the Israel-Gaza border with the last mayor of Gaza. I will be diving deep inside of the attacks of October 7th, going to the Gaza border, figuring out Gaza's money situation as to how they are surviving inside of Gaza, visiting the Nova Music Festival Massacre, and I will be trying my best to learn and make this complicated situation make sense, as I am just a curious young man from America trying to figure this out just like you who clicked on this video. Look at this video somewhat as a documentary ride-along podcast, as me and the former mayor will be conversating throughout this video as I dive deep into the war that has captivated and enraged millions of people across the world. It is now time to meet the last mayor of Gaza. Who are you?
Well, I'm the last mayor of the city Gaza. I was appointed as the mayor between 92 to 94 when we were still in Gaza. It was before Oslo.
So you were literally the mayor of Gaza at one point?
The city of Gaza, yes. It was during the days of Israel occupying the Gaza Strip.
The history of Israel is complicated, but in simplest terms, Israel became a state/country in 1947, and it was separated into two zones with areas given to the Palestinians and to the Jews. And then there was the Arab-Israeli War, and Israel expanded, and by the end of this war, Palestinians only controlled Gaza and the West Bank. A few years then go by, and there was a war called the 6-Day War, and Israel took over all of Gaza, the West Bank, and areas in Lebanon and Egypt. Decades went on, and Palestinians then created the Palestinian Liberation Organization, while Israel still occupied the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. There was a lot more uprisings, and then in 1993, when Grisha, the man we are with in this video, was still the mayor of Gaza, all of a sudden Bill Clinton in the United States got the Prime Minister of Israel and the leader of the Palestinian Liberation Organization to sign the Oslo Accords, which gave Gaza self-rule to the Palestinians, making Grisha and other Israelis leave their positions while the Israel military still had to help protect Gaza. And then nearly 20 years went by, and in 2007, Hamas was elected to govern Gaza, and Israel left Gaza completely, except for Israel protecting the northern and southern borders on both sides. This is why sometimes Gaza is referred to as an open-air prison, because people cannot leave Gaza unless they are technically seeking refuge. And now it was time for us to go see the border firsthand. So how far are we right now from the border of the Gaza Strip?
We will see Gaza in a minute. 2 kilometers from the border, a little bit less.
And when October 7th happened, are these the same streets that Hamas came in and invaded on right now?
Yeah. We will be able to see from where they penetrated, attacked, killed.
Before a few weeks ago, before Trump was in office, and before they did the ceasefire agreement, we couldn't get access to where we're going today.
We could get only till here, till the checkpoint. But now we will this is the first time for me since the war started that I succeeded to cross that line.
Can people go in and out between the border of Gaza and Israel right now?
No. Into Gaza? No way. But as we can see, this base was conquered by Hamas on October 7th, okay? They actually penetrated to the base. You can see, by the way, trucks that bring aid to Gaza, goods to Gaza from the north. This is another small crossing that was a decision that was taken in Israel to implement the ceasefire agreement. That Israel will allow to 600 trucks a day. So you can see a truck with food, okay, that enters to the crossing.
Who sends the food to the people of Gaza? Is it the Israel government or
Gazans that buy? People still have money in Gaza. A lot of money. We'll talk about money, by the way.
How are people still making money in Gaza? From the videos that we've seen, it looks just like rubble. Are there still like businesses that are open inside Gaza?
Yes, of course. And yes, people in Gaza have a lot of money.
Really?
It's not a secret. We will talk about money. I'll explain how much money they have. So only 3 terrorists killed 19 people in that moshav. But the reality is, October 7th, Toyotas and bikes with terrorists, with RPGs, driving like crazy.
And how many Hamas soldiers invaded?
3,000 terrorists, not soldiers. 3 waves of 3,000 terrorists that penetrated into Israel.
When Hamas attacked, they literally broke through the border on motorcycles and small vehicles, and they just went right into the cities on the border of Gaza. So we're right here at the stoplight. We're just set on the side of the shoulder right here. And when Hamas terrorists came inside of here, they set up right here, and if cars were just driving, they started shooting.
Yeah, and we have videos that we found on their GoPro cameras. The plan was all the way to Tel Aviv. Just imagine if Hamas and Hezbollah would implement the same plan at the same day, because what Hamas did here, they implemented the Norden scenario. If they would do that together, they would probably meet each other in Tel Aviv. We found the terrorists with maps on them, showing the road how to reach to Kiryat Gat. It's a town, Israeli town here.
What you're saying about Hezbollah as well, because Hezbollah is the terrorist organization in Lebanon.
Yes.
You guys have Gaza here in the south, and then Lebanon above in the north. So if they both planned attacks at the same time.
More than that, it's not only that. More than that, we are also surrounded from Syria now.
So if you guys are surrounded on all borders here in Israel by people that want to attack you guys.
We are surrounded by enemies and by future possible enemies. We have in the north, we have Lebanon. We had Syria as a country that is supported by Iran, and they threatened us also. Rockets were launched also from Syria during the war into Israel. And we have the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank.
And why do you think everyone wants to attack Israel?
That's a good question. Honestly, a good question. And the last answer that you will hear from me will be because of anti-Semitism. I don't want to talk about it. I think there are other reasons. Because maybe deep anti-Semitism is the answer, but the moment I say that, I will create this. It's like people will stop listening to me. I think it's about our success as a young country, jealousy maybe, as a Jewish society. If you look at Jews all over the world, in all the countries that the Jews live, you will find always successful community. People don't like that.
And when you were the mayor of Gaza, was there Hamas inside of?
Yes, of course. Hamas is there from 1982. They were established by Sheikh Ahmad Yassin from Gaza. He was raised on the knees of the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, and he brought it to Gaza. Hamas started as a social organization, as an organization, some sort of an NGO. Okay, just imagine an NGO that they get donations and they help the poor and they help the needed and they help the people who needs that aid. So they also provided, for young kids, they provided a new possibility. So instead of playing outside in the streets, they opened the mosques and they told their families, send the kids to us, we will teach them, they will be more educated, they will have nice meals, they bought the heart of the people.
Yeah. So Hamas started off as a good thing.
Hamas started as a social organization, yes. And then they evolved and they added to their agenda the elimination of the state of Israel.
And was this a place that was also attacked on October 7th?
That's why I brought you here. It's October 7th, 6:29 in the morning. Hamas started to launch rockets by the thousands. And then suddenly people here early in the morning, 7 o'clock, they hear gunfire. And people with some weapons approached here. And they saw terrorists there. And the terrorists opened fire. They also shot back. And the terrorists shot at them. Okay, can you see the holes on the fence? This is bullets of terrorists. This is some of the last remains of that morning. Okay, a bullet here, a bullet there, a bullet there, bullets up there.
How many people died here in this parking lot?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. But I know that inside this town, something like more than 50, 60 people were killed. Citizens. I'm not talking about soldiers. There were also policemen that were killed here by Hamas. Now, we are talking about terrorists, fully armed, AK-47, machine guns, anti-tank missiles, hand grenades, big heavy machine guns with Toyotas, entering and fighting who? Civilians? Trying to kill who? Policemen with a pistol? It's not even
Yeah, it's a direct attack on civilians.
The attack was directed only on civilians. Only on civilians.
From the shopping center, we went to a location where we could directly see the border between Israel and Gaza.
It's October 7th. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. It's a Saturday. And in Israel, in Saturday, it's like Sunday. Okay, in the Christian world. Everybody are in their house, in their homes. Nobody works. It's all empty. A city that is close to the border, that is located less than a mile from Gaza, and I will show it to you, okay? And yet, contractors continue building new neighborhoods closer to the border than, further than the border. And this is something in our DNA as Israelis.
Yeah, why would they keep
You
continuing
attack
to
us,
build?
you want to kill us, we will show you that we are stronger, that we are better, that we are a strong society, that we believe in life and we do not believe in death. So we will continue building new houses, new playgrounds, new neighborhoods.
Was there any signs that before October 7th that Hamas was going to attack, or was it a complete surprise to everybody?
First of all, it was a surprise to us, at least as civilians, but we will talk about it.
From what I was imagining, it's a little different than what I was thinking. These are literally just normal towns here. Nice homes, civilians, good streets.
More than that. I brought you here deliberately. Why? This is a new neighborhood.
Yeah.
As you can see. Can you see the new houses?
These are all new builds.
It's all new builds, okay? Do you know who were the workers who started to build this?
Who?
Workers from Gaza
Really?
that came here and they started to build this beautiful, amazing new houses, this beautiful, amazing neighborhood. Is it the same people who attacked us later? I don't know. It's a question. We need to check that also.
Right now we can see the backdrop of Gaza from behind us. Now we're walking up here.
This is the Gaza Strip. Okay? Right in front of us. We are less than a mile from Gaza. Okay? Less than a mile. So, back in the States, when you hear stories about wars that the United States fought, it was always a war there, like the Second World War. The United States fought where? In Europe. Vietnam War. It was where? There, in Vietnam. After September 11, the war was in Afghanistan, Iraq. Not in the States. For us, the war is behind the road. For us, the war, the enemy, is behind the hill. It's not there, it's here. It's my backyard. This is where the enemy is located, my backyard. And not somewhere that you need to fly, over the Atlantic Ocean and to find the enemy. The enemy wants to eliminate us here, behind the hill, here behind the tree. We are talking about a reality until October 7th of 70,000 terrorists, fully armed, that are located less than a mile from here. Yeah. That was the reality.
When the United States fights wars, they're typically overseas, they're at different locations. But here in Israel, it's literally from one side of the road to the next. It'd be like if New York got in war with New Jersey.
It's more than that. New York is divided to east-west. Okay? So you have I would say the 5th Avenue and the 2nd Avenue are on the west. And you have the streets and the avenues on the east, near the river. It's like in Central Park is in the center.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Just imagine that the people on the other side of Central Park is trying to attack the people on that side. That's the distance.
How do you think it got to a point where there's so much hatred in between one group versus the other, when it's just people that are literally living on the other side of the road?
They are living in different territory. They are living in different land, under different reality, okay? It's like we used to be in the past, the occupation there, okay? I used to be there. I was part of the occupation. I did good things for those people there, okay? I was the mayor. I was the mayor there for what? To serve them. I created jobs for them, okay? I saved personally 5,000 Palestinians in Gaza, okay? I sent aid to Gaza with US aid. I helped them. We were blamed during the years that we are not a democracy because we are occupiers. Okay, so what we did is we implemented Oslo. So they will be ruled by a different entity, not by us. And yes, the PA came there, Yasser Arafat came there, they took over it, and it came out worse, way worse. And then Hamas took it, and it became way worse than that. And then ISIS entered Gaza. You know, one of the things that I want to be clear about, and we will talk about it, is the evolution of evil. And I will explain to you what is the evolution of evil. Because when people say Hamas is ISIS, they flatter Hamas. Okay? It's a compliment.
They flatter ISIS or Hamas?
Hamas. It's a compliment to Hamas. What happened to them is that they are an entity worse than ISIS. They are more evil than the devil. And I'm not a guy that you can blame historically that I have something against them.
Yeah.
I used to have clients in Gaza. I was the mayor of Gaza. I'm the only IDF officer that they honored me and they named a kid after me. It's an honor. And I cannot tell you today what I feel. It's not, I don't hate them. I just feel nothing. And something happened to me as a human being. I feel nothing.
Yeah.
Because they did something that it will take me time to understand. And it's not only the terrorists, it's also the civilians.
How did Hamas go from a group that was helping people to now and murdering babies and
Theology,
women?
philosophy, incitement, using Islam to radicalize. It's a process that took almost 40 years, more than that. Hamas are a terror organization that succeeded to conquer the Gaza Strip from the unity Palestinian government. They took Gaza by force. They were not elected. It was in June 2007. How many people live in Gaza June 2007? Close to 1.7 million. A question. Since June 2007 and until the war, how many kids were born in Gaza?
I don't know.
I think it's close to 800,000. People are born, people are dead, so then you have the balance.
Yeah.
So 800,000 kids, all they knew is Hamas. All they knew is the education that Hamas forced them to get. Of course, incited, radicalized. We've seen that. We have all those videos and pictures and whatever. They are even proud to say it. A question. How many kids lived in Gaza in June 2007 that were at the age of up to 14, 13? Another 600,000. How do I know it? The Palestinians published the numbers. It's not me. How many people were originally Hamas and Page supporters in Gaza? This is a number that we estimated in the past, something like 300 to 400,000. So what is left?
How many people have left Gaza since October 7th?
100,000 into Egypt.
And
This is a number that the Palestinians shared with us, not us.
And to get into Egypt, how do they get into Egypt?
Through the crossing. Through the Rafah crossing, they paid $5,000 to the Egyptians, as a bribe or as a free access or whatever. I know some of them. Some of them used to be my clients, they are calling me from Egypt. Like, hi Grisha, why can't we continue the businesses that we did in the past? I said, guys, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't want to do business with you now, for now.
How many terrorists are inside of Hamas?
Something like 30,000. The Gaza Strip is a strip of 365 square kilometers. 2.1 million people used to live here, okay? Let's talk about the numbers. With 0 settlements, with a northern border with Israel, with a pedestrian crossing, with an eastern border with Israel that is surrounded with 2 fences and an underground wall that we invested. It's like 70 meters down in some places, 1 meter wide of concrete. To do what? To make sure that they will not be able to kill us here using an underground tunnel.
Wow.
And what they did is they just jumped over it. And then they bombed their way into Israel. When we fought Hamas, there was a battalion here. When we fought them, every house or every school or every clinic or mosque that they used for terror, it was destroyed by the IDF. Okay? It was their decision to fight from a mosque.
Yeah.
If you decide to fight from a mosque, it means it's a war zone. And it's a target that we can hit the moment you decided that it is a target.
Yeah.
So if people ask me why the IDF destroyed schools, clinics, and mosques, it was a decision that Hamas made, not Israel.
Because didn't Israel try to warn the people in Gaza that they were going to send in missiles and told them safe spots to go?
In 95% of the attacks, yes. Okay? Not not all the attacks.
And then once they did tell them where to go to be safe, Hamas also went and occupied those locations as well, making it unsafe, correct?
I haven't seen evidences to that, okay? I can tell you for sure, during this war and previous operations, when the IDF was about to bomb a building, okay? There were two ways to warn the people. One is we sent the people who live there an SMS, leave the house. It is about to be attacked. So the target was the building that was used as something for terror. It's not the people.
Kind of interesting here at this location where you can literally see Gaza right here. You can see all of the rubble from right where I'm standing. And then right here, you have a direct shot at a elementary school here. And it's a direct shot for a group like Hamas to go from that side of the border to this side of the border. So what they actually had to do here in Israel is they put up these walls right here to protect the children in case of an attack from the other side of the border. But it's interesting that they build an elementary school on a spot right here on top of the hill as a direct shot at Gaza. When Hamas attacked on October 7th, they killed nearly 1,200 people and took another 250 people hostage. But when you live in a town like this one on the Israel-Gaza border, how do children expect to live a normal life knowing that at any moment a bomb or a rocket could be launched from the other side? We've moved to a park, and these parks are interested because this is not just a typical park, this is a protected park. And what does it mean by being a protected park?
You are obligated as a country, as a society, to create a reality, to help kids grow in a protected environment. So if you live here since 2001 on a daily basis, rockets and mortar shells, what do you expect us to do? To close our kids in shelters back home or in public shelters? No, we need to think out of the box. And one of the thoughts was, let's build protected parks so kids can play. The parents will be here with them and they will check times. Like, kids, play. Now we will create a siren and we want to see how many seconds it will take you to run into a shelter.
Okay, and where are the shelters at?
The toy, this is one. You can see this is the monster. But the monster is actually made of concrete, so it's like it's a shelter. So kids can crawl and play like they are hiding, but this is actually also a shelter.
So in order to let the kids live normal lives here,
As normal as possible,
they've created shelters inside of these parks because all of these toys are huge. These are huge concrete tunnels where these kids can run, and then if they have to hide from a bomb, they come inside of these and then they're hopefully protected.
And another thing, stay just as you are. When you are inside, I've seen 3 of those. This is exactly like an underground tunnel in Gaza looks like. This is exactly where our hostages are held by Hamas, in such places like this one, underground, with no sun, with no air, with no nothing.
Yeah, and the tunnels that Hamas builds, they're very similar to what these look like.
Exactly. Even smaller. So as ironically as it sounds, I brought you to see toys that are shelters, but it can also present you how an underground tunnel of the enemy looks like.
So living here, growing up here in Israel, would not be normal. It's a challenge.
Yes. More than that, we are talking about a whole generation. The first kids that lived here, that were born here since 2001, are the soldiers who fought this war in Gaza now. They are the kids that lived around the Gaza envelope under this unlogic, I even don't have the word how to explain it, in such a reality of, it's normal to play outside knowing that the other side is about to launch rockets, and instead of killing your enemy doing that, you hide, or you build shelters, or you invest money to find new creative ideas how to protect and save more lives. Let me ask you a question. Would it be only logic to expect the other side also to build shelters for their kids? Why? Because we know that they will launch rockets. As a solution to that, we take care of our kids, so we build protective parks. They know that after they launch rockets, we will send our Air Force to attack them. Wouldn't it be only logic to demand or to expect that they will also build shelters knowing that we will respond?
Yeah, it would be logical for them to build shelters as well.
They build nothing.
They don't build anything.
They build underground tunnels. You know, there was an interview given in Lebanon by Hamas senior.
Are those the underground tunnels available to the public, or is it just for Hamas?
This is exactly. There is an interview in Lebanon that was given by Hamas senior. And in the studio, the reporter asked him the following. You've built Hamas. It's not you. It's like, I'm just pretending that we are in that interview. You built Hamas 500 kilometers of underground tunnels. Why couldn't you build shelters for the people? Do you know what he responded? He said, the tunnels are for the Nukhba. For him, it will be fighters. For me, it will be the terrorists. The people, it's not our responsibility. It's the UN's responsibility.
The UN's?
Yeah.
Really? So they think the UN should protect them. So they think the UN should protect the children. Meanwhile, they're bombing
The people,
civilians
not
over
the
here.
children, the people. Not the children and the people. You know, people can tell me and attack you maybe and tell you, oh, come on. This guy has no sense. He doesn't know what he's... They have no cement in Gaza because Israel prevented them from buying cement.
Yeah.
So let me tell you the following. I've been the manager of the Palestinian market at the biggest cement company in Israel. And I sold 1,000 tons of cement to Gaza every day. So is it about cement? It's about goodwill. It's about morality. It's about values. It's about us respecting life, protecting life. It's about them wanting that people will end their life. Worshipping to death, worshipping to jihad, to shaheed. We don't believe in that. We believe in prosperity. We believe that we should provide a better future to our kids.
Yeah.
That's why we build protected playgrounds. And they build underground tunnels.
So aside from being the mayor, you also had other jobs as well. One of those was you also sold cement. And how much cement would you sell to the people in Gaza?
1,000 tons a day.
1,000 tons a day.
Every ton, you can create 4.5 to 5 cubic square meters of concrete. It means they can build houses. You know,
And they, with all that ton of concrete, with all those tons of concrete, they never stopped to build.
They prefer to build underground tunnels. I calculated that once during Protective 2014, and I found out that the building materials that they used to build 1.8 kilometers of a tunnel is equal to the amount of building materials that you need to use to build a clinic 3 stories high. And they've built 500 kilometers underground. How many schools and clinics and mosques they could build? Instead of that,
Do you know how many they could have built then? What the math is on that?
Thousands.
But instead they decided to build underground tunnels that go underneath the ground 30 to 60 meters.
They could build thousands of schools, thousands of clinics, thousands of houses, instead of people living in refugee camps. It's more than that, because they invested the money in building underground tunnels, and the Western society donated the money so they will be able to build all the things that they needed. So actually let's go to the table and I'll explain you the process of how it works with money.
Now we're going to get into the money of this.
Gaza and Egypt. Okay? A question, if I may. There are 2 crossings on the border between Gaza and Egypt also. Rafah, the crossing here, and another one that Hamas opened during the years. So we have two crossings with Egypt. Now let's talk about money for a minute, okay? Do you know how to build a rocket?
I do not know how to build a rocket.
Of course you don't. You can ask your doctor. What is his name? Don't tell me. I know. No.
Dr. Jill.
Dr. Jill, Dr. Google.
Dr. Google.
Dr. Google.
Dr. Google.
So if you ask Dr. Google, let's try it here, using our mobile phones, how to build a rocket. Google will tell you, step outside, find a pole, pull it out, cut it, open it, mount it, add a tail, add a panel of... Okay, it's good for rockets. If you need explosives, so you have no explosives, or what should you use? We should use... And then when you know that they use... Because we've seen 3 tanks flying in the air using as explosives there, so you prevent from being imported to Gaza, and then you have a UN report or an EU report or a World Bank report that says Israel starved the people of Gaza to death because they are not allowing them to import, and because of that they cannot grow vegetables, or the number or the percentage of vegetables that they grow now in Gaza is 50% less from what they could. Guys, let me ask you, would you allow somebody to import something that will be used by them to kill you? And you will say, okay, get it for free, or get it, we have no problem, and then kill my kids, or kill my son, or kill my neighbor?
No, you would not do that.
Nobody would do that. But we did it.
But you guys did do it.
Of course we did it. We
why?
created a list of dual-use materials that you can bring things that can be used as something for civilian use and for military use, as long as you have somebody on the other side that will commit that it will be only used for the civil part.
So it's like, let's make a contract, but let's make sure there's not a way for us to check if it's being followed through once it passes the other side of the
So we
border.
did it with UNRWA in the past, and what we found out during this war, that UNRWA actually is a UN organization that was used by Hamas as a platform for terror. Their schools as headquarters, the people as terrorists. They created jobs to those terrorists that were hired by Hamas, and who paid the salaries for them?
UN or
You guys.
we did.
Your taxes.
The United States paid.
The United States taxes that were given to UNRWA. So UNRWA will pay salaries to the people that they operate in Gaza
So the United States was funding a lot of what's going on
without
here
knowing that.
without even knowing,
Of course.
because the money was going to where?
to UNRWA,
To UNRWA.
to,
and then
an to a UN organization that dealt with refugees. And the workers that worked for UNRWA were actually people that were part of Hamas.
so it's going from the United States to UNRWA, an organization that works for the UN, and then from there it was going to Hamas.
As a UN worker with immunity, okay? Using this immunity,
With immunity. How did they get immunity?
UN immunity. We avoided in the past to bomb any building, even if it was used by Hamas in the past as a Hamas, facility or headquarters, because on the roofs in Gaza, you could see the UN flag painted on the roof. So the Air Force will know not to attack this building. But since October 7th, when we've seen that UN officials, UN workers, employees were the ones who killed Israelis, who were the ones who kidnapped Israelis, were the ones that we exposed that were used by Hamas as a platform to back them logistically. So what do you expect us to continue respecting their UN immunity? Hell no.
Yeah.
Would you do that?
No, I would not.
Okay, so it's the
doesn't
same
make
thing.
sense
Exactly. And I don't know why the whole world is not listening. So the United States decided to stop funding UNRWA. Excellent. Amazing.
And if they stop doing that, then how did Hamas continue to keep getting money?
The other countries who pay money.
And why do these other countries want to give money to Hamas if they know that they're a terrorist organization?
They don't give it to Hamas. They give it to the needed. They give it to NGOs, to other organizations that are supposed to provide, food or blankets or baby food to the needed. And it's donations. Hundreds or even thousands of tents were sent to Gaza as aid from the EU, from Turkey. What do you think? The Hamas just gave it to the people? They sold it to the people. So all the aid that was brought to Gaza was confiscated by Hamas, and they sold it in the markets to the people. This is how they paid the terrorists during the war. If you have no money as a terror organization because the money is hidden somewhere, how do you pay to new recruits, to new people that you recruit to your organization? You give them goods that were donated to you, sell them in the market, and this is your salary.
Yeah, so all these big companies, all these big countries were giving the supplies to Hamas, and then Hamas would then facilitate those products to the people, but in order to receive the product, you have to give the money to Hamas.
They supplied,
and so they were creating. They were the only people that were able. That was the only. They were keeping the economy alive inside of Gaza, essentially by funding Hamas with free stuff, so that way Hamas had money, and that's how the money would go around.
They avoid from dealing with the facts. It's not that they supply it to Hamas. They send it to the people of Gaza. And they
who's in control of Gaza?
They get reports from the people that they send it to them. We will send it to the needed in Gaza. Okay, but then when you enter to Gaza, you lose control because Hamas confiscated. So if you know that, why the hell to continue sending that aid? Would you feed your enemy knowing that he uses your aid to him to fight you back? To fight back?
No, it'd be like giving money to the ice cream truck inside of the neighborhood that's going to bomb the neighborhood.
Let's make it simpler. It's like giving money to the drug dealer that will continue giving drugs to your kids, so they will be all in drugs.
It's like in the United States how they try to combat, or how they did try to combat homelessness and the fentanyl crisis by decriminalizing drugs and giving homeless people $500 or $600
So they will go and buy
keep
more
funding
drugs.
and they kept buying more drugs while they decriminalized it.
Same thing here.
And today at the border, we even saw that they were sending in supplies on a truck into Gaza.
That we know that eventually it will reach to Hamas hands, and they will sell it.
And Israel is obligated to do that?
Do we have any other choice? What will we do if, I don't know, they will show pictures from Gaza of 10,000 people starving to death? Will we be able to deal with that?
As far as being able to receive the criticism from the other countries that surround Israel, that want to attack Israel as well?
We cannot. You know, even our values, our morals will not allow us to do it.
Because, I mean, there are innocent people inside of Gaza. There are good people. You were the mayor of Gaza.
I didn't say there are no good people, but I don't know how many are left.
When you were mayor of Gaza, how did you feel with the people? Was there like a deep hatred between the Israelis and the Muslims, or the Israelis and Arabs?
Different times. It was the years of the occupation. Okay, we left Gaza, and all we wanted to reach to is a peace agreement. Okay, that's why we went towards Oslo. This is why we started implementing Oslo. All the wars, almost all of them, the other side started, not we. I have no problem if people will disagree with me, okay? I have only one request. Enter to our shoes. What would you do if somebody, we talked about Manhattan and New Jersey. You know what? Let's go to the border of Mexico. There is a town close to the border with the States. I don't know.
Yeah.
Which one?
For instance, it'd be like if we went to Mexico and we went to Piedras Negras and Eagle Pass.
So those two cities, okay? From those two cities, there will be, some drug organizations that would start launching rockets from there into the United States. What would your country do?
We'd launch them back. We'd fight back.
Would you supply them food?
Probably not.
Will you supply them electricity? Will you supply them water? Will you supply them internet so they will be able to ask Google how to build rockets? Will you supply doctors there? Will you supply medicine there? What will you do? I'm asking you honestly. It's like be honest.
Me personally,
you,
I would not.
I'm talking to your audience. Okay, put your hand on your chest and swear to yourself that if somebody from those two cities in Mexico will try and kill your kids in the States, if you would do what we did here in Gaza. They can blame you. It's because of you, the United States. It's because of you we are in a certain economical bad reality. It's because of you we have no education. Okay, what would you say? If you want us to be friends, lay your weapons down and let's be friends. If you want us to help you, lay your weapons, call for peace, let's make peace.
Yeah. And
we never said no to peace. We are seeking to make peace.
Say the people here in Gaza were not receiving any more funding or were not receiving any more aid from Israel, from countries. Will the people in Gaza be able to survive financially and be able to survive and not go into hunger if these other countries weren't supplying needs? Are there any infrastructure, or any farms or anything in here inside of Gaza?
They have farms. They can go back to the Middle Ages. Okay.
But would it be enough to supply 2 million people?
It's not 2 million people. It's, I think, again, I don't want to be rude, but it looks like 2 million people is a lie.
Would it be enough to supply 1.5 million people?
They need to import almost everything. They produce, there's no industry in Gaza. They could develop the industry. You know, we implemented Oslo in '94. It's 30 years. In 30 years, if you want to build a country, you should build industry, you should build farms, you should build your own abilities. But they were always dependent on somebody. So, of course, that now, when people look at Gaza and they say, oh, we have to help them, of course we have to help them because they built nothing. They were supposed to take responsibility on themselves, but they prefer to be dependent. Yeah. They are always the needed. They're always the ones that you need to help them. Why? What about their own responsibility? Why can't the world say, for every dollar that I give you, I want to see $1 back with, something else, or with responsibility, or we can find the equation. But nobody demanded that. People just said, let's give them money so we will feel good with ourselves, with our conscience, and whatever happens, happens. You know, many countries send aid to Gaza and money to Gaza, saying, we want to feel good with our conscience. And if you are responsible, let's say that a country will donate $50 million to Gaza and you will demand a report from them. I want to see, as Israel, that the money went through me where the money went to, show me pictures of your projects, nobody will be able to provide it.
Yeah.
The moment you will demand it, it will be different. People will think twice.
It's similar to how in the United States we have been sending lots of money to Ukraine, and now President Zelensky says he doesn't even know where the money's at.
Of course. Ukraine is one of the most corrupt countries in Europe.
If missiles were to start coming into this town right now, where would all these people go?
Into new shelters that the government of Israel helped the people here to build as new additions to their houses, the old houses.
And so is every house here required to have a shelter?
Every house.
All these people that live here inside this town, they know at any moment they could be bombed.
If they will break the ceasefire, as they did on October 7th, because on October 7th we were in a reality of a ceasefire, and they broke it. They invaded.
So was Israel expecting October 7th by any means? Did anybody have any idea that they were going to come and attack with so many terrorists?
I think that the IDF knew about the plans, but nobody believed that they would be able to execute it and to succeed. And I also knew about some plans that they have, but I also believed in us that I said we would be able to stop it. So yes, they tried, but we are strong enough to stop it. They actually gained an enormous success.
And after an attack like that here on so many different communities down here, not just this community that we're in, but around this whole entire Gaza envelope, do the people here inside of these towns, they lose confidence in their Prime Minister Netanyahu? They lose confidence in the government?
Some do and some no. Hamas succeeded to enter to Israel from 62 entries.
Wow, so where was Israel that day then, if they were able to get through 62?
That's a good question. I don't know. It's a failure. It's a total collapse. It's a total
62
failure.
breaches. That's not just a failure. That's a major failure.
It's a major failure, of course. It's more than a failure.
The Iron Dome. How well does that protect the people here in Israel?
Well, it did a good job, but they found the weakness of this system is the moment you launch thousands of rockets, the system is not capable to deal with thousands. Maybe with a few hundreds, but not more than that. So,
And what is the Iron Dome? Because it's not some Iron Dome that's over Israel.
Iron Dome is a very smart system that was invented by some brilliant Israeli minds. It's a system that can locate a rocket that is launched from somewhere, either from Gaza, either from Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Egypt, and to know exactly from where it was launched, what will be the angle of the fly of that missile, of that rocket, what will be the speed, where is it going to land. Is it going to land in an open area, so we will not intercept it?
Mm-hmm.
It's a waste of money, because each one of those missiles that intercepted in the air, it's $50,000. When a rocket that they build is not more than $200 or $300.
Wait, so Hamas can build rockets for only $200?
Yes, of course.
How?
It's nothing. But you need a pipe. It's nothing. If you get help from Iran and from other terror groups, it's simple.
So these aren't some like highly sophisticated technology-based rockets. These are just makeshift rockets that they're
It's
launching.
rockets that kill people.
Mm-hmm. But they're not able to aim them.
With hundreds of kilograms of explosives.
Mm-hmm.
But they fly. The majority of them are homemade in Gaza. Iranian instructors came to Gaza and they started to manufacture it in Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
Like Hezbollah in Lebanon.
But however, they're not like essentially targeted attacks on like one or two people. It's just kind of whoever it hits. It's not.
Yes, but they also targeted cities, towns, villages, IDF bases.
It was now time to visit the Nova Music Festival site where the largest massacre took place. Here in this video you can see people dancing, and above, Hamas rockets and terrorists invading. Hamas used paragliders to hop the border in this location and carry out their attacks. Over 350 people were killed, and when people tried to escape Hamas, this is what happened. They were trapped inside of the areas because Hamas had covered the areas on both sides.
And this is where the massacre started.
Wow.
They were trapped in between. They all came back here. Some of them were killed there, and the rest here. Coming to celebrate and kill. Coming to celebrate and burned. Why? Is that your enemy as Hamas? those young people that came here to dance. So is that how you want to build your own country? By leading a massacre? It's like, it's even not a massacre, it's worse than that. So is that the culture that you want to present?
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
This is a special sign here inside this memorial right here because this is actually the son of one of his friends.
He's a famous officer also, he's a famous guy in Israel. His name is Dedi. You can Google him, you find Dedi Simchi, he's a very famous guy. And his son, actually, was killed in Kibbutz Kisufim. Guy, okay, he's a hero. He succeeded to save his friends. He was not a soldier, by the way, he was a soldier in vacation, without a weapon or something like that. And he succeeded with his own two hands to kill terrorists, so he will be able to save his friends. And he saved many of them.
And then he died in the process as well.
Yeah, of course he died in the process, yes, of course.
But in order to save some people's lives, he was willing to risk his own life.
This is who we are. Okay, this is something I want to be clear about. This is who we are as a society. Okay, when we join the IDF, we swear that we will die to defend our country. We will die, we are ready to die, to save lives. It's not that we are ready to die to take lives. This is the difference between us and them. Okay? This is who we are. And I'm proud that this is who we are. Because this is our legacy, this is our culture, this is our religion. So we are ready and we are willing to pay any price. But we will make sure that this thing will never ever happen again. And we found here hundreds of burned cars. They just even burned people inside the car. They kidnapped people with the cars from here to Gaza. It's like property. You know, the 5,000 people that came after the Nukhba, it's the people that came to raid, like to steal.
Yeah.
They stole whatever they saw, cars, clothes, bicycles, tractors, property, whatever they could take, they just took.
Really? So after the first initial groups came through, then the third group of civilians of the 5,000 people from Gaza, then they came through and they just started like looting and taking the stuff away from anything they could find here.
By the way, the people were actually worse than terrorists. The ones who came to loot.
Is that what makes fighting Hamas so complicated as well? Is they don't really have a set uniform that they attack in?
If you look on TV every weekend, when we implement the deal to release the hostages, you see them with uniforms. There is a movie that when I got my training as an officer, there are 3 movies that we were obligated to see as officers, as commanders, to understand. Movie number 1 is Black Hawk Down. Movie number 2 is from Second World War. It's called Enemy in the Gate. It's about the Nazis and the Russians fighting each other. And what we saw there is the Russian doctrine. And what is the Russian doctrine? You see a bunch of soldiers all being pushed to the enemy. And it's always 2 soldiers, like you in the front, I'm in the back. You are with the rifle with 5 bullets, and I'm behind you only with 5 bullets. So the moment you fell and you are dead, I'm taking your rifle, I push my bullets, and I'm continue fighting. And if I run back as a coward, my guys, Russians, will kill me there. The same thing is with Hamas. They learned. So when they attack the IDF, when they fight with the IDF, they are dressed civilianly. Okay? So if you are in civilian clothes, you are with the vest, with an RPG, with AK-47, you fight, you die, your friend takes the RPG, takes the weapons, and runs. So when somebody finds you dead, what he will say? You killed a civilian as Israel. This is why when Hamas say that Israel killed 15-something thousand people in Gaza, let's say I accept the number, but what is the number of terrorists that we killed?
Yeah.
I think it's more than 20,000.
So there's more strategy to this than most people may think.
It's strategy, of course. This is how you make the other side, Israel, look bad. Okay? By the way, if you ask me if I would want to believe their numbers, I would say, you know what, I trust you. Let's say you are Hamas and you said 52,000 people that Israel killed. I would say, you know what, you are right. I accept the number. But there was an interview given in Lebanon by Hamas senior. And he spoke from his ego. Why? because he saw an interview in Israel that somebody interviewed the Minister of Defense, and the Israeli Minister of Defense declared, it was at the beginning of the war, something like after 7 months, and he said, Israel succeeded to kill 12,000 terrorists. Now the guy in Lebanon said, in response, that Israeli minister said 12,000, he's wrong. They killed only 6,000. You know what? Okay. I would accept any number that they will say if they would be fair enough and say the following. Israel killed 50-something thousand people, 6,000 out of them at least are terrorists. Why? Because our leader admitted in Lebanon.
Because, nobody really knows who's terrorist or not, especially if they don't have uniforms.
Exactly. That's part of the strategy.
This is a memorial site they have made. They've gathered all the cars here in the region that were burned and attacked.
It is some sort of a cemetery to the cars. Some sort, a memorial site, but also a cemetery.
And how many lives represent each one of these cars, would you say?
Each car is between 1 to 5 to 6 people.
They have cars here stacked, and these cars right here were hit by all sorts of weapons, RPGs, guns.
You see, it's 3, 4, 5 stores of cars that were all burned, during that day. And it took time, because in our religion in Judaism, we cannot bury a body until we take all the parts. Even we need also to clean the blood from the cars. And we also needed in some places to check the blood because we needed to find the remains, the DNA of who is the guy that was burned there to ash. So it took time. So we needed to collect all the cars from that day and to bring them to a certain place, and they would be checked here one by one. It took months to do it.
And then after checking and getting all of the DNA of the victims and the people that lost their lives here, and they then made this site right here. All the cars, they're just stacked upon each other right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars stacked on top of each other right there. I also had plans of entering into Gaza to receive the perspective of the Palestinian people. However, I was told I would not be able to enter from people inside of Israel. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and drop a like, and if you'd like to support the channel, consider becoming a member for extra footage and live streams. This is Nick, and I will see you in the next video.